You've seen it all over the news and YouTube. The layoffs are real. The job market is changing. And roles that were safe 5 years ago, like data analysts and accountants, they're quietly being wiped out by AI tools that never sleep and are way cheaper than human resources. The biggest mistake you can make right now is going about your career as if nothing has changed. If you're in an office job, you should be worried. But there's one business role that is actually becoming more valuable. If you apply an MIT-published framework to test this job for AI resistance, it almost hits every mark. So today, I'm breaking down why project management is one of the most future-proof careers of the next decade and how you can pivot into it before the doors are closing. First, let's look at the hard facts, the data. This right here is the World Economic Forum's top 15 largest growing jobs by 2030. As you can see, most of these jobs are manual labor or service-related jobs like truck drivers and farm workers, which makes sense because those cannot be so easily replaced by AI. But there's hope for the office workers out there. Right here at number 12 is the project manager. It's one of the only business or office-related roles that is not predicted to be cannibalized by automation. In addition, we have to keep in mind that project management at large is a horizontal job, which means it's not specifically dependent on one industry. The core skills like planning, communication, stakeholder engagement, are universal skills that can be applied to any industry, sector, or geography. If we look at the tech sector, for example, they will need project managers to oversee and manage the implementation and rollout of AI tools and softwares across organizations. On the other hand, we have vertical jobs, which are the specialists. Let's, for example, take a pilot. A pilot's skills are almost entirely dependent on the aviation industry. If the aviation industry crashes because autonomous flying will replace human pilots, these skills are very hard to be transferred in the general job market. So project managers and generalists with a more diversified skill portfolio will be more adaptable to this changing job market. Now let's take a look at this. This is the US Bureau of Labor Statistics forecast for 2034, showing us the 10 fastest growing occupational groups. Project managers will be needed across management, architecture and engineering, financial operations, as well as construction, installation, and so on. Especially the demand for construction project managers will be rising though, because we're entering this building era boom, mainly fueled by the need for green energy infrastructure, which is a job that AI can simply not take over. In fact, the Project Management Institute projects that the world will need 25 million new project managers by 2035, which is 2.3 million new project managers every single year. Finally, when we take a look at LinkedIn's 2026 Skills on the Rise list, which is basically showcasing the fastest growing skills across 12 markets, we can see that one of the first skills mentioned here is leadership and people management skills, including cross-functional collaboration, team management, mentorship, executive and stakeholder communication, which is basically a job description for a project management position. Now, let's take a closer look at how AI-proof this job is. So why can't AI take over project management jobs just like that? To answer this, we're going to use the MIT Epoch Index. It's looking not only at what AI can do, but more so at what AI cannot do. MIT researchers recently published and revised a paper in which they came up with a framework that can capture human capabilities that can complement rather than be substituted by AI. It's called Epoch, and it stands for empathy and emotional intelligence, presence, networking and connectedness, opinion, judgment and ethics, creativity and imagination, hope, vision, and leadership. Now, we're going to use this framework to evaluate specifically the role of a project manager and see how AI-proof this job actually is. Now, for empathy, I'm going to give a project manager a 5 out of 5 score. This is one of the core skill sets of a project manager. They have to navigate stakeholder expectations and team burnouts, which requires genuine emotional intelligence that an AI sentiment analysis cannot simply replace. For presence, networking, and connectedness, I'm going to give a project manager a solid 3 out of 5. Even though the presence might not always be given, with remote jobs increasing and digital project managing tools, the aspect of building trust and human relationships within the company in order to move the project forward is definitely one of the key aspects of a project management position, and that is also something that AI can't easily replace. Next, for opinion, judgment, and ethics, I'm giving a project manager a 4 out of 5 score. They often operate in open-ended systems where there's not this one correct answer. They have to take into account ethical dilemmas, resource trade-offs, and they have to actually take legal responsibility in case a project fails. Things that AI simply can't do. Now, for creativity and imagination, I also give a project manager a 4 out of 5 rating. because they often have to come up with creative solutions to unprecedented bottlenecks. While AI is more so working on previous data and patterns and predicting the future based on this, they cannot be as good in coming up with a solution to a problem like taking into account different stakeholder opinions or conflicts that have never been there. For hope, vision, and leadership, I give a project manager a 5 out of 5. MIT identifies hope to be the hardest skill to automate. And a project manager needs to motivate all of its team and the stakeholders to keep moving towards one project vision and lead that project through to the end. That leaves us with a score of 4.2 out of 5, or basically an AI resilience rating for project managers of 84%. Now, the MIT framework indicates that any score above 75%, so in the top quartile, indicates that a job is not only safe from AI, but becomes significantly more valuable with AI as AI automates all of the admin-heavy overhead. And that's actually becoming clear already. All of the AI tools and agents, they're not really replacing project managers, but they're rather working alongside them to increase their productivity. Essentially, it just means that all of the boring stuff like taking minutes and tracking budgets will go to AI, whereas the human-intensive stuff will stay with the project managers. So the role of project managers at large is moving away from coordinator roles more so towards strategic advisor roles. You're not there to track deadlines anymore, but you will be measured by how much business value you can actually bring. Now, finally, we're going to look at how you can get into project management. Because here's the catch. Even though the demand for project managers worldwide is increasing, what is decreasing are the entry-level project manager roles, because they are very admin-heavy or repeatable tasks that are now being taken over by AI assistants. And even though there are a lot of project management certifications out there, I also made a video about how I passed the PMI ACP. You can check it out here. What companies now want is not someone who only has a certification and who knows project management in theory, but they want someone who has lived experience, who has handled a difficult stakeholder before and knows how to basically navigate these kinds of situations. So how can you get into project management? If you're a recent graduate, or you've recently been laid off and you want to pivot into PM role, or you just in general are looking for a more future-proof career. Here I got something for you. My team and I are currently building out a high-intensity program in which you'll not just watch videos, but you'll actually lead. You will be given real-world project management cases, and you'll have to develop project artifacts like roadmaps, milestones, and budget. But even more important, you will have to lead actual meetings with stakeholders, and you will have to simulate project kickoffs and project status meetings. You'll get direct one-on-one feedback on all of your assignments by experienced project managers. And we're currently building out the program, so head to the link in the description so you can join the waitlist and you'll be the first to know when we launch, and you'll also get exclusive access to our founding member pricing. So that was a more analytical approach to showing you why project management can be one of the most AI-proof jobs in the future. Now, let me know in the comments if you have any questions or what you think about it, and if you want me to make a video about a certain role next. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you in the next video.